by film.
Five,
Stand by music.
4,
Stand by announce.
3, 2, 1.
And fade up.
All aboard!
And a name on the front is a hell of a lot more important than the one on the back.
Don't act like you're not impressed.
Turn to page 394.
How much you want to make a bet I can throw a football over the mountain?
That is so fetch.
Dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dive.
The power of the sun in the palm of my hand.
Where's my super suit?
Hey, Fat Lard, come get some dinner.
Well, I am not drinking any f***ing Merlot.
And I'm gonna try to forget the fact that you're a girl.
But dogs can look up.
Oh, durga.
You tell me what I saw this woman! This is the Polar Express!
Well, welcome everyone to a brand new episode of 20 Years, 4 Beers. We're a podcast dedicated to rewatching movies from at least 2 decades ago, while simultaneously enjoying a minimum of 4 modern beers. My name is Steve, and this is my big brother, Tim, and we are coming to you from Minneapolis, Minnesota. We have just watched and recorded our episodes on Magnolia and Fight Club, and because we could not narrow down the films of 1999 to discuss, we have another happy hour episode. Oh, wait, hang on. It's called planning.
Hey, you guys. Happy hour is from 4 to 6.
There we go.
Nice.
On this happy hour, we'll be talking about another classic prison drama adapted from a Stephen King story and created by Frank Darabont, which, of course, is The Green Mile. The Green Mile is the story of Paul Edgecombe, the somewhat mild-mannered head guard on a death row wing of a Louisiana prison in Depression-era Louisiana. Paul soon discovers that one of his new inmates, the gentle giant John Coffey, possesses a supernatural gift of healing. Paul and his fellow guards must struggle with a major dilemma. Is John Coffey guilty? And even worse, how can they kill one of God's true miracles? The film was directed and adapted by Frank Darabont and stars Tom Hanks, Michael Clark Duncan, David Morse, Bonnie Hunt, James Cromwell, Michael Jeter, Barry Pepper, Jeffrey DeMunn, Sam Rockwell, Doug Hutchinson, and features appearances by Graham Greene, Patricia Clarkson, and Gary Sinise.
Now, what about a preacher? Somebody to say a little prayer with.
Don't want no preacher. You can say a prayer if you like.
Me? Suppose I could if it came to that. John, I have to ask you something very important now.
I know what you're gonna say. You don't have to say it.
No, I do. I do have to say it. John, tell me what you want me to do. You want me to take you out of here? Just let you run away? See how far you could get?
Why would you do such a foolish thing?
On the day of my judgment, when I stand before God, and he asks me, why did I kill one of his true miracles? What am I going to say? That it was my job. It was my job.
You tell God the Father it was a kindness you done. I know you're hurting and worried. I can feel it on you. But you ought to quit on it now. I want it to be over and done with. I do. I'm tired, boss. Tired of being on the road, lonely as a sparrow in the rain. I'm tired of never having me a buddy to be with, to tell me where we's going to, coming from, or why. Mostly I'm tired of people being ugly to each other. I'm tired of all the pain I feel and hear in the world every day. There's too much of it. It's like pieces of glass in my head all the time.
Come on, not my beer.
With our reactions and verdicts to the movie out of the way, we move on to the reactions to our beers that we drank while rewatching our subject movie.
And if you want to have sex with a disgusting bad brewer with a terrible attitude,
This is where we take a look back at our beers and give our expert ratings for our drinking buddies.
ugh, whatever. Hey, here's the truth.
This is Drinking Buddies.
Let's get weird.
Well, as it talked in the Fight Club episode, had to finish off the other two options in my 4-pack of multi-pack. Odell Brewing.
Glad you thought this out.
Oh, I was really strategic. I'm like, do I do like coffee beers? I'm like, no, just gonna keep it easy.
No.
Odell Brewing out of Colorado. They're a drum roll hazy pale ale, 3.5.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's solid. Yep. It's a nice option that goes with this multi-pack. And then the other one was Odell's 90 shilling amber ale. And that's actually like a 3.75. It's a nice, I mean, I'm not a big fan of like amber ales overall. Used to be back in the day, but
Yeah, ambers suck.
amber
Totally agree.
ales.
Amber ales are
in
terrible.
all aspects, yeah. It's 3.75 for me. It was fine to watch or enjoy while I watched. So, what'd you have?
I mean, I put some thought into mine, man.
You
I
were
mean,
so
not in
much
terms
better.
of theme. But I had out of Equilibrium Brewing, which we've had, I think, earlier tonight too, out of Middletown, New York. Their Fractal IPA with Nelson and Citra hops. I think it was 6.8 ABV. I thought it was really solid. I had like a 4 to 4.25 somewhere in there. Good color and flavor. The biggest knock on it was that it wasn't Citra enough.
Sure.
Like you would want it when you pour a Citra and you get that yellowish like color to it. You're like, oh, and it doesn't
It's
quite
happening.
have that Citra. Yeah, okay.
Yep.
But it's good. I like it. And then out of Mortalis Brewing Company from Avon, New York, which, spoiler alert, coming up here in a second too. Their Froze Hydra Deuce Sour Ale. It's like the Froze, F-O-R-S-E with the like
umlaut
on top or whatever. So Froze Hydra Deuce. Their sour ale with apricot, blackberry, cherry, vanilla, cinnamon, and graham crackers. It was a 7% ABV sour. And it was very thick, like really thick. Like we're having this, and you have like some of the viscous on it, you know, but it's also like purple. So your glass was just like purple afterwards.
The rim of it.
Yeah, and so like I have 4 out of 5, and I ended up finishing it because I was at home, so it didn't matter. But it absolutely has to be shared. Like I think I didn't bring it here because I was going to give you one. I was like, no, I'll just come over. We'll share it.
Yeah.
So it's just the flavor was there. Maybe a little too much graham cracker, but overall, like really good.
Nice.
So that's what we have. And then we have one more here we're going to gladly discuss.
Well, you have the can, so I'm going to defer to you to talk through it. So
I planned ahead here.
Yes.
So also from Mortalis Brewing Company out of Avon, New York, their Phoenix. Their sour ale brewed with strawberry and lime. The strawberry daiquiri, 6% ABV.
This is unreal. This is so good.
I know.
It's like a 4.75.
Yeah, I
for
think
me.
this is one of the better
It's
sours I've had in a long time.
Effing good from a sour and just like pleasant. I couldn't drink the whole thing, I'm pretty sure.
But I think
But it's not like it's like tough.
I don't know if I could finish a whole strawberry daiquiri either.
True.
I don't think this is as sweet as some strawberry daiquiris are.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'll give them that credit.
It's
really good.
I'm gonna sip this all the episode. It's so good.
I'm gonna sip away.
It's so good.
I agree. I think I'd probably come in at 4.75. Mortalis is really good.
Yeah,
the beers
I'm
that one beer we had before we liked, which was that. Well, I don't know if we liked. We thought it was like the weirdest one.
It was weird.
That like sort of pineapple-y Hawaiian stout.
Yeah.
Wasn't that like a white stout?
Yeah, it was a white stout. It was super weird.
Yeah, it was totally weird.
But they
and
pulled
it
it
should
off.
have been a strange brew, I think, at that point. I remember
Hindsight.
talking about. Anyway, yeah, very, very good.
Very good.
So we love it.
If you guys were the inventors of Facebook, you'd have invented Facebook.
This is a social network,
You don't have to be an intellectual property expert to understand the difference between right and wrong.
where we take a look back at the critical and fan reception from 2 decades ago.
Mark!
As usual, Tim takes point on this, so take it away, Tim.
You better lawyer up, asshole. Because I'm not coming back for 30%. I'm coming back for everything. $1 billion.
The IMDb rating is 8.6 out of 10. Richard Corliss of Time magazine said, to more than a few viewers, the intolerable runtime will feel like a life sentence. F off, Dick.
Dick Corliss.
Kenneth Turin.
It's such a low-hanging fruit.
Yes.
Bullshit. Okay.
Yeah.
Continue.
Kenneth Turin of LA Times said, it moves with the suffocating deliberateness of a river of molasses. Again, Ken. F off. Lisa Schwartzbaum of Entertainment Weekly said it's in its own old-fashioned way. Director Darabont's style of picture making is well matched to the king-size yarn spinning. And Roger Ebert gave it 3.5 out of 4. So the movie allows us to feel the passage of prison months and years. And by taking the extra time, Darabont has made The Green Mile into a film which slowly develops and unfolds. While Tom Hanks is our everyman, winning our sympathy with his level eyes and calm, decent voice, the standout here, however, is Duncan, embodying the goodness of coffee and a performance that is both acting and being. Academy Awards that year was up for 4 nominations: sound mixing, adapted screenplay by Darabont from the King store. I guess it was like a book, but anthology. Like it was 6 different month to month publications. Supporting actor from Michael Clark Duncan, and I totally forgot it was up for Best Picture.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was like, holy crap, that's right. It was up for Best Picture. So that's the Social Network.
Very cool. Thank you.
We begin our discussion with our reaction segment that we call Spotlight.
This is Boston, and the church does not want them to be found, so they are not there.
This is where we highlight and discuss our top takeaways of any kind from rewatching our subject film.
We've got 2 stories here. We've got a story about degenerate clergy, and we've got a story about a bunch of lawyers turning child abuse into a cottage industry.
If there were 90 of these bastards, people would know. Maybe they do.
This is Spotlight.
They knew, and they let it happen.
Tim's just like, I just want to talk about the beer.
Yeah, so good, the beer. All
right. So I think I'll get us started on Spotlight.
Cool.
I think we had, and we've just talked about it tonight. We had 2 examples of this in 1999. This movie is exactly how you tell a 3-hour story.
Exactly.
Magnolia obviously being the other one. It gives us a world to live in. It builds on that world, characters I care about. There's a few side stories along the way to kind of like keep us entertained, some little fun things, especially like in this case with Mr. Jangles. But also gives us a central story through line that is engaging and never feels forced or boring. By the end, even if it isn't inherently a sad story, i.e. Magnolia, this one is a sad story.
Sure.
You still feel the emotional connection to the film. Like, this is how you tell me a 3-hour story. We talked about with Oppenheimer. Apparently, the new movie with Adrian Brody that's coming out later this year is a 3-hour epic. Like, there's a way to tell a movie that's 3 hours, 3.5 hours long that makes you want more. And by the end of this movie and by the end of Magnolia, I could have taken more. Like, you just give me more of this. This is how you tell that story.
It's such a weird, arbitrary critique of
Too
movies
long.
where it's like,
fucking Dick Corliss.
You can tell a terrible story or an amazing story irrespective of the actual time. Like, there's no arbitrary, like, 2 hours is perfect, 1.5, 3, whatever it is.
Boring movies I've ever seen is We're Back, a dinosaur story. When we were in like middle school or whatever.
Sure.
And it's like 80 minutes long.
Yes.
It's just like boring. Like,
Yes.
you can be bored in an hour and a half more than you ever would be in a 3-hour movie.
Well, we talked about recently with The Village.
Yeah.
Jurassic World Dominion. 20 minutes in, I texted you, this is straight garbage.
It's so bad.
So 20 minutes in is terrible.
Yeah.
So I agree. It's such a bullshit critique.
Yep.
What else? So the first note I had was, so this came out Christmas of sophomore year for me of college.
Okay.
And our friend Emily from high school had emailed me, who had seen it before. It was like winter break or whatever it was. And just said, Tim, I know you're going to love it. And I was like,
is Emily Huck?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Shout out.
I was like, so it's Frank Darabont, who did Shawshank, my favorite movie of all time. Stephen King, who was, at that time, I hadn't read much of him, but I was like appreciating. Yeah, it's his adaptation. Great again. Sign me up. I actually kind of would appreciate it, however, from her. Not like 25-year-old like retroactive shade, but like, hey, you're gonna want to bring Kleenex.
Oh, sure.
Because my most prominent memory of this movie is I had to wash the North Face fleece that I brought to the theater with me because it was completely saturated with snot. Because I cried so much from this movie. And I think that's a testament to, I said before when we watched Whale Rider.
Yeah.
Like that is like my quick, if I want a quick cry, I think I need to put that in to watch the scene where she talks about her grandfather.
Yeah.
But this movie is just a juggernaut where it pays off with the slow, patient story where it sneaks up on you at moments and it just throws you for a loop. And I think it's across the board an incredible film. But I just remember, like, I'll always remember that. I had to wash my jacket because I got home and I was just like, just the sleeves were just covered with snot. But it pays off.
Emailing me, Emily.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, you might want to prep for this. But anyway, it's so damn good. I will wax poetic about it. But anyway, it was a funny memory for that.
I think I'm going to start in kind of a weird place, like the back of a Volkswagen. Percy to me is such a great bad guy, and in a lot of ways, actually, I don't want to say Percy is like the crux of this, but like you needed a bad guy who was like a familiar face, somebody you could kind of like, not that we knew Doug Hutchinson at all, but just like the familiar a-hole that's sort of like, but he's not blatantly, he's not like Sam Rockwell. I know. Yeah, that came through.
Mm-hmm.
He's not like Sam Rockwell who's like racist.
Yeah.
Like that bad guy.
He's evil.
Right. Hutchinson's just an asshole.
Yeah.
He's just like a seemingly rich a-hole who's just like getting away with whatever he wants. Like he's a crazy asshole with connections, right? But he still has this like, you still want him to be punished, but he's not like, I don't necessarily want him to die.
Correct.
Like, I mean, what he does to Dell, don't get me wrong. Okay, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
But like, I think what I think about Percy is he's a smarmy, slick back, kind of whatever a-hole. He's not entirely without redemption. We just know he doesn't want that redemption.
Correct.
Like he just doesn't want it. He likes being mean. He likes being the way he is. So when he does get it in the end, it feels natural. It feels earned. And like this puzzle piece has kind of come together nicely that like, oh, Percy's story's done.
Yep.
And then obviously that ends Wild Bill's story too. But like, it's sort of like, closing this up. I think Percy, I don't know why this time around, I really felt not connected in like I relate to this person way, but I didn't really remember sort of the key aspects of why Percy is important to this story.
Yeah.
So
I talked about it a little bit in the Shawshank episode, but like, King, all the stories he's had, and again, I've read all of them, but like, I don't know that
Can I ask you a side question? Have you read the school shooting one?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Yeah. I actually had to find it through like a secondary bookseller.
Yeah.
Because it was off the market as Richard Bauman was his first kind of pseudonym.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Anyway.
Rage is what it's called.
Sorry to interrupt you there, but you've read all the stuff. Yep.
Yeah. Trivia nerd. Anyway. But what I offer that is like, when it came to his stories that I when I said like before, I was kind of appreciating, but I didn't like The Shining. I like his super very supernatural stuff didn't quite resonate for me. It never really clicked. It was fine, but it's like, I'm not feeling it. When it became, again, the real life horrors or the banality of evil is what I talked about in The Shawshank. Like, Percy is the great personification of that.
Yeah.
Where he's just cruel. He wants to, inflict harm. He's not like, again, mustache twirling. We're talking about evil. No. It's just, he is, I agree, a perfect catalyst for the environment that Paul Edgecombe is trying to build is just calm and serene. And again, it's a good narrative device. It moves it forward. Like, Percy is a chaos agent. So, but he's not there just to be chaos.
No.
It just is unintended consequences of his cruelty.
Yeah.
And I agree. He's so awful.
Yeah.
That like, oh, your comeuppance will be really great.
Yeah.
But there's a tragic element to it where, like, he's shamed when he pees his pants. Like, all these things of, like, you could see a normal person. It doesn't have to be like this supernatural evil thing. It's just you're a normal person put into these circumstances. And I agree. He has to be this agent throughout the entire story. Like, even when he's bringing coffee in initially, like, dead man walking.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I hate this guy right away.
Yeah.
Like, this guy sucks so hard.
Yeah.
So it's a great introduction to this character that you can right away know that the other guards hate him as well.
Yeah.
And that's a great agent for what the story could unfold.
Yeah.
And I agree. Like, he's fine. I don't know that I've seen him in anything else. Doug Hutchinson, like, of remark, but he's so good in this.
Yeah, and I think there's some, because he is good because you do sort of feel for him. Like, you do kind of feel like, I don't think Percy was born
an
asshole.
No.
Like, he just feels kind of like, I kept thinking, what if Sid from Toy Story grew up and became a prison guard? Like, he's just burning the feelers off of ants because just, whatever. It's just kind of like, I don't know. He's a product of the situation for sure. Again, as adults, we need to, understand, like, what blah, 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 blah. But I don't feel bad for Percy when he ends up in the insane asylum at the end. But I also am like, if Percy had been killed, I'd have been like, that feels a bit much for him.
Agreed.
Like, that's sort of like, so, and I think that's a testament to the character and the actor.
Yes.
Because it doesn't make me want him dead, but it makes me want him gone.
Yes.
Like, he needs to be punished. He needs to be gone.
Yes.
So I don't know why Percy stuck out to me so much this time around, but I felt like he's a really big crux to this story, actually.
And it's been a while since I've watched this.
Sure.
And I agree, like, seeing it now after maybe like 10 years or something, you appreciate these different
it's totally different, right? Yeah.
pieces to it. And to the point we mentioned before, I actually think Sam Rockwell is really underappreciated as Wild Bill.
Yeah.
Like, he has to come in basically an hour, halfway through.
Yeah.
And be this agent of chaos.
Yeah.
That you really want to have, like, oh God, he's awful.
Yeah, him I didn't mind dying.
No.
Yeah.
Especially after you find out what he did.
Correct. Yeah.
But he still has these little pieces of, like, it could have been a thankless role of him being like, haha, I'm so evil. But he's so good.
Yeah.
And I don't know that
a charming a-hole.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, you'd be like, I can see why this guy would do well in the world because he's
That's why he won
awful.
an Oscar for 3 Billboards. He's a charming asshole.
Which is, actually, I remember watching this, thinking this week, he is essentially what would happen if Wild Bill didn't get into jail.
Yeah.
In that movie.
Right. If he had been a little more legit.
Something like that. Yeah. Big stretch. But he's so good. I don't know that I know he was in Galaxy Quest same year, which I've never seen, unfortunately. Right? Yeah. Yeah. We'll get there. So this is my first introduction to him as a actor at the time. And I was like, this guy's so great. Seeing what he's become now is great.
Yeah.
But
and he was in Matchstick Men later that year.
Oh, that was so good. I don't know, the same year.
It was 2000.
Yeah.
Because we had thought about covering it at one point.
Yeah. But he's so good in this.
Dude, come on. I own Galaxy Quest. You can watch it for free.
We'll get there.
Come on.
Yes.
jumping back to mine, talking about puzzle pieces.
Yeah.
The reveal of how John Coffey is in prison through the touching of Paul, and we see what really happened to the girls. Like that whole reveal. It all fits so perfectly, and yet like aching, like you just know.
Yes.
You just know that this means, yes, he's innocent. We get that we get that understanding. But now it's going to flip because we got like 35 minutes left. Now I know he's going to die.
Yes.
Now, like as a viewer, you're like, you're going through this with Paul. Like, is he? I don't think he's guilty, but I don't know. You never know. People can snap, whatever. And now you know, like, that scene, not like it's filmed well. The whole night is just you go because that's the same night that you
the
went
night
off
journey to
like that, that's the crux of the whole story. I get it, but that scene is just this final puzzle piece coming together of how I'm supposed to feel as a viewer.
Yeah,
like this is a mystery that now is resolved and it's solved, but now all the puzzle pieces are together, and now I see this picture of, yep, he's still got to die, and now this is the moment where I now realize I have to start accepting the fact that that's going to come. Such a great like moment, scene. I don't know how it is in the book. Obviously, I've never read it, but just that final piece of the puzzle with Coffey in the cell and that whole scene is so heart-wrenching. There's more heart-wrenching to come after that, but that to me is kind of the first real, like, the scene with the warden's wife is really powerful, but that's sort of the first scene that really sort of starts for me being like heart-wrenching. Like this is a tragedy now.
And it plays out so well with, when Paul's urinary tract infection is cured.
Yeah.
And it's these small pieces. So then like it plays out so well where the audience by that point has experienced the main character has been cured by this. And then Mr. Jangles.
Yep.
Such a great scene.
Yeah.
All you have is like his arm shoot out.
Yeah.
Like, give it to me.
Really?
Yeah.
You're going to cry over a mouse?
I will. Like, it's just like the whole thing of like, it plays out later where, like the music kicks in. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
we've had a few.
Yeah. I ain't crying.
So then when he.
Not as much as you.
No. That's why I love this movie. So yes, when he is then taken to like save the warden's wife and saves that. And then, yes, when it comes down to the chaos of Percy and like, why is he not getting rid of this, pestilence or whatever? And he uses it as a tool. Like, I know I can take this bad thing, and why would he do that? And then, yes, the reveal is I'm doing because this guy, Wild Bill, did the horrible things. And you now realize that type of death and awfulness was too much for John Coffey. And it all becomes clear. So then, yes, you have to sit as an audience and grapple with the fact of like, he is innocent.
Yeah.
And a great, I mean, the whole JC biblical, storyline, like it's somewhat to King's credit, but also like it's pretty heavy handed. But I'm okay with it. It works.
Yeah.
But it's this. You have to sit with that tension of he will have to die.
Yeah.
Because it's Depression era. Is a black
he was
man.
never going to get a fair trial.
He's never going to get out of this.
Or a retrial.
Yes.
Yeah, no.
But what works is, to the credit of King and Darabont, is like Coffey's okay with it.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about the story. Is like, it's not just we're going to unfortunately have to kill a miracle.
Right. Yeah.
It's this person who is unaware in many ways of different things, but it's just like, I'm tired.
Yeah.
The weight of the world, I can't carry it anymore.
No.
And I agree. It's just incredible. Storyline and across the board, that last hour or so is what makes this movie stand out to me. Is like it's earned.
Yeah.
Of we're gonna tell a patient story.
You told me a patient story over the course of a few hours. Yep.
And it totally pays off. And I agree. Like once you find out, and it had to be like that, where Coffee's like he's a bad man, and of course we get that from an audience standpoint. It's like, oh no, really, what you find out is he is the agent of Coffee being in here, to eventually have to die, and it's just unreal. That storyline,
and it's after you get the reveal after.
Bill's dead.
Yes. So it's not even that he can do anything about it. This is now like even John knew there's nothing that could be done here, because had he given Paul that gift, and he had that knowledge beforehand, Paul might have tried to like go through his legal.
Yes. Right.
No, but now it's no longer even an option. He is now done.
Yes. So to that end of John Coffey, we talked about it with Magnolia in terms of how Tom Cruise absolutely deserved to win.
Stop. Yeah.
That being said, if we're going to talk about like 1A to 1B, in my view,
okay,
Michael Clark Duncan, sure, I'll give him 2. Like he absolutely deserved it more than Michael Caine did.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. Most other years, a guy like Clark Duncan coming out of nowhere
because he had done nothing.
Like he did Armageddon that same year, whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah,
like
I get it, but like out of nowhere, any other year, he's probably winning over a lot of other people. He's outstanding in this movie.
But what I love about his acting is like, I forget the trope is basically like they call it the magic Negro. Forgive me, but it's like the Legend of Bagger Vance. These similar type of tropes of like we're gonna have a black character be this, magical entity or messianic or whatever it ends up being. It doesn't feel false for this because the time and place and the story in question and that performance by Michael Clark Duncan is like to his credit.
Oh,
absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
So incredible. And there's no like I will sob every time I watch it. When he is about to be executed and asked to not have the
mask over,
the hood on his face.
Yeah,
it's unreal because it's just heartbreaking.
It comes out of nowhere, kind of.
Yes,
I mean, he's like the dark,
kind of simpleton.
Like the dark.
Yes.
Yeah, out of nowhere, it kind of comes.
Like
there.
when he first comes in to the prison, he's like, "Any questions for us? Do you keep the lights on?"
Yeah,
it's like a 2-hour.
Yep. Oh, there's multiple. There's multiple payoffs that come, hours apart.
Oh yeah, and like the heaven, some of that. But
yep. That's what I use.
But I
lose it. Yeah,
sob openly when he asked to not have the hood placed on his face, and it's just again incredible. But to his credit, the late Michael Clark Duncan, this role is career best for him. Like
for
defining,
sure, of
so
course,
incredible.
Yeah, of course,
yes, love it.
I mean, all the supporting roles in this, are, but it's like literally all of them.
Yes,
are. Like we talked about Magnolia, like Julianne Moore is maybe a little bit over the top.
Sure.
A little bit. Yeah, okay. Nobody in this movie is over the top. You're just kind of like, nope. Nothing's heavy handed. Nothing's unearned. Like it is, the performances across the board are good. And I think what makes Michael Clark Duncan stand out is as good as Tom Hanks is, he's a muted performance on purpose. And that's what makes him stand out.
Yes.
Is he's like, you're out acting in a good way, Tom Hanks, right? Like,
true,
you're above
a 2-time actor,
right?
Or award winner,
but all the supporting roles are outstanding. So for me, my next point is there are very few scenes in film history that I skip without question.
Yeah,
without question, I'll just move on. 127 Hours with the Arm is one. Saving Private Ryan, Adam Goldberg's death.
Sure.
American History X, if you know the scene I'm talking about, the scene. Spider-Man 3, Tobey Maguire dancing. It's just, those are ones that you have to just
traumatic.
Skip. You just have to skip. The picnic scene in Star Wars Episode 2. Like, it's just, you just got to move on.
If you know, you know.
But one that will forever be skipped is the Dell's executions. I mean, the moment they bring him in, I skip it before he even sees
Percy.
Like I'm just like, boop, next. Like on
brutal.
DVD, I would skip it. On VHS back in the day, I'd fast forward. And now on in this, I just go to the scenes and I move to the next one. I will not watch that scene again unless I'm with someone who's never seen it, and that person is somebody I can snuggle with at the end of the night. We'll just call it that.
Yeah.
Like that is the only way I ever watch that scene again. I will skip it. Unapologetically, I will skip that scene.
And here's why I think it's such an essential scene, however.
It is for the story. It has to be there.
Yes.
But from a rewatch standpoint,
totally agree.
I don't have to put myself through this again.
Yes.
Skip.
And that's where I think
it lasts so long. It's
so
great
grueling.
scene. I can live it right now in my head if I wanted to. Like, so I don't need to see it again.
Yes. But why it's so tough to watch is because of, Graham Greene's character, the first execution, is there to set the stage.
Yeah.
It's a primer for the audience. You are now experiencing the, rotation, the training for it, and then he dies. And they show it, but it's not that traumatic. And so it's a fantastic device to have a character that's briefly on screen be our kind of like entrance to it.
Yep.
By that point, when Del has to be executed, you've come to love this character.
Right.
With Mr. Jangles. And it's tragic. Yep. And he's like, I wish I would have met you guys in a different life.
Yeah.
Like all these things. Like it's so heartbreaking to then when, Percy's there and says there is no Mouseville.
No Mouseville? You
and like,
effer.
exactly. Again, cruel. Yeah. You are cruel. To then you have to see how bad it could be.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like we've introduced very standard.
Yeah.
And then to King's credit, let's take something that's horrible and make it even worse.
Yeah.
I agree. Enjoy it watching it again. And it's just awful. But I love the scene as much as when Percy tries to turn away.
Oh, yeah.
Paul's like, you watch this.
You will watch this.
Like, you did this.
Yep.
And I agree. But it's not great to watch. It's like
awful. I can't watch it. Like, I physically am like, I don't think I can watch this. I mean, there are very few things that I can't like sort of subject myself to again.
Sure.
But that's one of them. And also, side note, of all the freaking, like, we invent electricity, it's amazing. And then you just decide to, like, kill people with it, like, 40 years on. Like, setting aside the fact that the death penalty is just morally reprehensible, in my opinion, but whatever. Can't you just find a cliff and just let people jump off the cliff?
Yes.
Just be like, here you go. It wants to let you rot down there.
Yeah.
Throw some dirt on you. No, you got to electrocute them.
Or just like shoot them in the head.
I know. I mean, then you get the moral of like somebody had to pull the trigger or whatever. Just jump off a cliff.
Yes.
Just buy.
Yeah.
Here's some cement. Go drown in the ocean. Like,
drowning. Yeah,
I know I don't want that
agree.
either, but electricity certainly doesn't sound much better.
Yeah. It could be worse.
I was like, oh, God. Anyway, off topic. But go ahead.
It's a terrible scene, but I think it's, again, just a testament to the writing and
completely.
When King is like, he's a horror writer. This is a perfect example of that, of how bad it can be.
I'm sure the book describes it even worse.
Well, I think it's the third of the 6
novella,
like versions or whatever it is. It's the bad death of Delacroix. Like, it's like you know right away this is not going to go well.
Ugh.
So but it's done really well. It's a great scene, but it's awful. But again, you have to have that from a Percy standpoint of you just want to see someone cook and like we're out of here. Like you're done with this.
I know.
It's tough to watch. So I actually usually get frustrated with flashback-driven stories.
Yeah.
That include scenes in which the protagonist who's telling that story would not have knowledge of what transpired. There's enough scenes where like Paul is not in every scene.
Oh, I gotcha.
Enough of like it builds the atmosphere that I'm okay with. So I give a pass to this movie, and not a quibble per se, but like when Bill comes in and he's like peeing on the guard, like enough of these stories would have been told.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yep.
So they do, to Darabont's credit, it's not just Paul is in every scene.
Right.
He would have been such a central character to these other people that the stories would have come to him.
Yeah.
And so that's where I like where it's like every little flavor of this story gets told, where it's the extra kind of interactions, heartbreaks, the moments of levity, because you have to have that, some of the comedy amongst people, but the totality again of the 3-hour experience is what is key.
Yeah.
So I'm happy that they pull it off, where it's not just everything to Paul's vision. It's enough that it would have been translated to him at least to make it work.
Excuse me. Yeah, and I think you think about the fact that like Paul is a great leader. He's obviously the leader of that group or whatever, to the point where even the inmates respect him. So they have their restraining room is a storage room. Like it's been so long.
That's a great
under
detail.
Paul's
Yes.
leadership that they don't even need a restraining room.
It's a storage.
It's a storage. They don't need it. And so, like, to me, I think more about
that's great.
That would where his guards would tell him these things and they would talk about it. And then there's a story where he then, he's like, piss on me. And, Jeffrey DeMunn does that. And he's just, there he is. And,
yes.
So it's totally believable because Paul is the leader of this. He's like natural to the point where one of them, even DeMunn, who is Harry, the guard.
Yeah.
He never once agrees to this, by the way.
Right.
He never once agrees to it.
Yeah.
Like it's not until David Morse's guy is like, okay, what do you need us to do? Then he's kind of like going along with it. That these guys are going with Paul to the end.
Yeah.
So that's where you kind of like, I can buy all of these. Paul would know what's going on
the flashbacks
all the time.
Yes, exactly.
I have one last thing. It's going to take a little bit though. So what do you got?
I just think, to Darabont's credit, and I actually think there might not be, again, it's recency bias, like a better director to source material writer.
Oh.
Like, I mean, you think about the three that they
Yeah, I think we maybe even talked about the Shawshank. But yeah.
Shawshank, this, and The Mist. Like, there's so many awful adaptations. Of King that are just offensively bad. And to their credit, like some of the source material ain't that great.
Yes.
Like he's not
Let's be
infallible.
fair. Yeah.
Like someone's like, that's pretty shitty. But Darabont gets the core essence of these stories and brings it out. To the fact of, to his credit, what's really unfortunate from King had to do it because of the month-to-month publication. People would read it, come back a month later. There's actually a nurse at the old nursing home who's kind of like Percy, who's a character that is somewhat antagonizing him.
Yeah, isn't that what? Because then the one guy who gives him the dry toast.
He's like, "Where you
don't
go,
let nurse?
Yes,
whatever catch you,
catch
right?
you." Yes, so it's almost like a homage to the books,
right?
Or book, I should say, but it's jarring when it comes to, it works for the story, I should say. But when you're reading it in totality, it's really like, just get through this. I don't care about it. So I just think that's a great testament to Darabont knew what would work if we're going to start telling a flashback and not end it until 3 hours later.
Yep.
And so I'm always impressed with me what talked about with Fight Club, where they made changes that made sense for the medium and the better story. And kudos to Darabont, where he knew we can't be coming out of this story and like just cut out what really is the essence of this.
Yeah,
and it's
fair point.
It's fantastic.
Nice.
What you got?
Do you have any others?
That's it.
Okay. I don't believe we talked about this with Hanks on either Saving Private Ryan or Catch Me If You Can, or whatever else we've covered here so far. There will never be a decade of film or 11 years. Okay, it's 11 years. 92 to 2002 is 11 years technically, right?
Technically.
You know what I mean? Like, no, you look at me.
Yeah.
Just listen to the feature films. I am not skipping anything.
Yeah.
From 1992 on, from Tom Hanks. He's got a couple episodes of TV in here and there, whatever.
Sure.
But yeah. All right, 92. We have A League of Their Own, Sleepless in Seattle, Philadelphia, Forrest Gump, Apollo 13, Toy Story, That Thing You Do, Saving Private Ryan, You've Got Mail, Toy Story 2, The Green Mile, Castaway, Road to Perdition, and Catch Me If You Can.
I mean, there may
I didn't skip anything. That's not like, oh my God, what's the best 4-year run of it?
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. Like
10 years.
You've got 3 Best Picture nominees. You got Green Mile, Saving Private Ryan, and 4 actually. Apollo 13 and Forrest Gump. Philadelphia was not up for Best Picture.
Really?
No, because it won Best Actor and Best Song, and then
Sure. I mean, I believe you, but like
I'm looking at it right now.
Oh,
anyway.
Jason Robards from Magnolia.
There you go. Yeah, it was. No, excuse me. It lost Best Song. Excuse me. Well, no, it was up for 2 of them. Never mind.
Okay.
Because Neil Young was up for that. Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
So screenplay, makeup, 2 song, and then leading role. So it was a Best Picture. But you could argue that 6 or 7 of those movies are the best movie of the year that they came out.
Yeah.
Like it's just not a run that will be matched. I mean, this is news. Tom Hanks is a great actor and was really important in the 90s and early 2000s. But
yeah.
Most people have one movie in there, like a Cloud Atlas or whatever, that you're just like, oh, okay, you mailed that one in. And when the worst movie that you've done is That Thing You Do,
yeah,
which is a totally enjoyable sort of like
delightful.
Yeah, but it's not a forgetful movie because people know that movie. It is such a great, like, just 10-year run. I mean, it'll never be matched.
No,
in
I don't
terms
think
of
so.
no skips. Like, there's just no skip there.
Yep.
Love it.
And why I love him in this is that he has to embody, Ebert, to his credit with the review, said like the everyman.
Yes.
But like,
yep.
What person will be tasked with killing a miracle?
Yeah.
Like you have to have that everyman of Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
Who then has to make that awful decision. So then when he does shake his hand, it is earned.
Yeah.
And it is a proxy for the audience of like, what would I do in this situation? So then when, again, the character is 107, 8 years old, it feels like, I don't know when I'm going to die because this is my penance. It's only workable because of, I think, Tom Hanks.
Totally.
Because of that caliber of what he brings to it, but it's earned from the story being told.
Yeah.
Love it.
Love it.
Yep.
I'm going up there, I'm going to try it, I'm going to let the jury decide.
As we close out our spotlight segment, we come to our final takes called The Verdict.
If we are to have faith and justice, we need only to believe in ourselves.
This is where Tim and I give our final verdicts after rewatching the film and decide whether or not the movie held up over the course of 2 decades.
Now you get out of here before I call the bailiff and have you thrown in jail.
This is The Verdict.
I said to hell with it, to hell with it.
A movie that demands your patience, but rewards you with both the small details and the overall experience. The Green Mile is, in my view, the second best King adaptation, and one that will just leave you wrecked, yet ultimately, I think, restored. Centered around the death row sadness and shenanigans of the Green Mile, Darabont fleshes out the jarring differences between cruelty and decency, and what one man can do to bring out the worst and best in those around him when he comes there. With, to me, a career best performance from Michael Clarke Duncan, with just a, again, classic effort from Tom Hanks. You'll be wise to remember a box of Kleenex for this one. 4.75 out of 5 for me.
Look at you and your callback.
Yep.
So this year we have been very fortunate to cover multiple films, or I guess films by directors who have multiple masterpieces to their credit. Michael Mann, Quentin Tarantino, and then, I'm suddenly blanking on it.
Paul Thomas Anderson.
Paul Thomas Anderson.
Yes.
We have multiple people who have that, and now we can add to the list Frank Darabont. I know we talked about this in Shawshank, but The Green Mile is a pretty unassuming story from a far out there source, Stephen King. Yet is also at its core what makes King one of the best writers of all time. He takes the ordinary people in extraordinary situations trope and adds supernatural or horror elements that, when done well, can make for a legendary film. Here we have one of those examples. At no point in this 3-hour epic are we bored. In fact, in the end, we want more of the story. With a subtle turn from Hanks, a career best from Clarke Duncan, and top performances from everyone else involved, The Green Mile stands out as a top 3 film from one of the best years in film history. I have 4.75 out of 5 as well. Another just great film from Darabont.
Fantastic.
Like, yeah, it's just wonderful. So.
The exciting quiz program 21.
Our final segment of the episode is Quiz Show.
I've stood on the shoulders of life, and I've never gotten down into the dirt to build.
Where in our research for our subject film, we find some interesting trivia nuggets that we hope will stump the other and possibly intrigue you.
This is not McCarthyism. We're not here to expose for the sake of exposure.
This is Quiz Show.
Well, evidently certain of the contestants were given the answers in advance.
Cheating on a quiz show. It's like plagiarizing a comic strip.
I'm just going to unmute my mic since I'm the only one who took this seriously.
Stop.
Well, I have 2. Tim has 0.
We'll see as we go along.
No, okay, don't force it. Don't you go find trivia. Don't. I don't want you.
I was not.
You might find my trivia.
Okay, I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
Well, first off, I'll give you the easy one. Did you catch the connection between? Well, clearly you didn't. Did you catch the connection between Fight Club and The Green Mile here? One actor is featured in both films and does have speaking roles, so this isn't a background or a random person.
Ooh, that's a good trivia. Shit.
And I'll give you somewhat of a hint.
It's not coming to mind.
So it's an actress who's in both films.
Oh, yes. Sorry. I actually remember watching it. Chloe.
Yes.
From Fight Club,
Chloe
who's
from
dying,
Fight Club. Yep.
and the wife of Gary Sinise's character.
There you go.
Yes.
There you go. You get the ding.
I do remember like, oh my God, this is the one.
Rachel Singer plays both of those.
Rachel Singer. All right. What's your next one?
So don't you dare give me a trivia here. Are you looking for trivia right
I
now?
am.
Through IMDb?
I am.
You embarrassed yourself. As far as I can tell, and I did look through the IMDb fields of this, but usually my research is pretty limited on, except for Tim. There are 2 actors who have been featured or had small roles in all of Frank Darabont's films from Shawshank to the Mist. Jeffrey DeMunn, who plays the guard Harry, as well as many other characters for Darabont, is one of them. If you remember him in other films, he's recognizable. I'm going to give you the obscure one, though. The other actor was also featured in Darabont's early short films and his first feature, Buried Alive, making him the only actor to appear in all of Darabont's films. You're not going to get it, so I'm just going to prepare my wrong buzzer, but can you guess the actor is featured in all of Frank Darabont's films?
Jeez. No.
So his name is Brian Libby, and if I showed you who he is, you would recognize him. He's the sheriff in this film. He's the guy who like holds a shotgun to he's that guy.
Yeah.
And he says like, "Hey, they let you hold your typewriter all the way down there, or the record player all the way down there, Andy, in Shawshank." That dude.
Okay.
He's in every one of, including the severe fucking miss here, Tim, is that Darabont's first 2 writing credits were on short films that were Stephen King adaptations. God.
Well, Stephen King, to his credit, really like makes people just pay $1.
Yeah.
Where he's just like, if you pay me $1, you can get the rights to these things.
Yeah.
And not to belabor the point, he's always like, make it what you want.
Yeah.
He never is like beholden to, this is what I want it to be. It's like, this worked for my story. Make it what you will. Sometimes it doesn't work.
Yeah.
But sometimes I think it's a great testament to a writer of like, I let you do what you wish, which is great.
He doesn't pull a George Lucas where he
like super controlling, or this is exactly what I want.
He does criticize adaptations.
Yeah.
But he also praises them.
Yes.
And George Lucas just criticizes everything that Disney does with Star Wars.
Yes.
So, so in that sense, the creator definitely is fine with what people do. Like, hey, this is what I created. All right. Well, that brings us to the end of our happy hour episode on The Green Mile and a long-ass day of recording. Be sure to go back and find all our previous episodes on your favorite streamers, and stay tuned for upcoming hard pivot episodes on Shaun of the Dead and Team America World Police. We want to say thank you for taking the time to listen and for clicking that like or subscribe button on your devices. Find us on the internet via the metaverse of Facebook, Instagram, and Threads, and head to 20years4beers.com. And watch out for new content coming soon, potentially. This has been 20 Years 4 Beers. My name is Steve.
I'm Tim.
And thanks for listening.
Thanks.
Oh, wait. Hang on. It's called planning. Ambers suck.
Completely saturated with snot.
Really?
Yeah.
You're going to cry over a mouse? Since I'm the only one who took this seriously.
Stop. I swear to God, I swear to God, I thought I had some.